Boom, 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 dum, 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 dum. Boom, 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 dum, dum. Alright, is that live? Can I see it? Testing. Ooh, my computer doesn't like that. Alright. Let's leave that over there. Alright, I'm pretty new to this, so if I don't see you chatting, just don't take it personally. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. Alright. So, today I'm just gonna be doing some like landscape sketches and introducing myself and maybe talking about some New Year's resolutions if I remember. Depends on how distracted I get. I'm not exactly like the most presently minded individual in the world, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm Gubbins. I'm non-binary, and I would like to consider myself an artist, but, you know, that's kind of an aspiration, not exactly something that... Well, I suppose I'm not gonna gatekeep being an artist. You can be an artist and just do things as a hobby, but I wouldn't consider my skills to a degree that I feel comfortable calling myself that. So the whole purpose of this trying to get into content creation rather than just entertaining for a job is to maybe just get some practice in. I am a classically trained flautist, flute player, in concert bands mostly. I dropped out of a comp sci degree to study music production, and I am self-taught in several instruments. I'm currently trying to learn an erhu, but that's been the most difficult so far. That's been a few years in the making. I've since taught myself guitar, bass, keyboard. I beatbox a little bit, which, you know, I have a few videos on my channel of that. They're quite cringy, and I encourage you to go watch me embarrass myself. And my current obsession is trying to learn how to do visual arts because it's interesting and I'm finding it quite engaging. I am quite lazy and I don't really have any aspirations in life, so I go around doing whatever catches my interest, and right now that's visual art. I'm doing a little bit of sketching at the moment because that's just where my interest lies. That's what's got me engaged. I want to do a little bit of watercolor as well, so maybe I'll crack out some watercolor pencils after this. Depends. Depends if I have time, depends if someone comes home and decides to have a shower and I have to stop. We'll see what happens. There's no plan. I would say that I enjoy making art, not to actually have anything finished, but because it feels fun in the moment. So I've been studying music and making music for almost a decade now, and I've only actually finished a handful of songs, and I've never bothered to publish most of them because I get all of my satisfaction myself, but my family are hounding me to actually make things so I can maybe turn that into a career, but again, I'm only interested in surviving and doing what's interesting. So hopefully this, I want to try and make some content and hopefully through that, I might finish something for once in my life. Anyway, I enjoy reading, mostly non-fiction. I read a lot of manuals and handbooks for hobbies and painting guides. It's recently also a lot of like camera guides. That was an interesting one I read. I don't really like reading fiction that much. I enjoy fiction and science fiction, but mostly in other forms of media, not necessarily in written format. Although I've been trying to change that and widen my tastes. I read The Three-Body Problem recently, and that's quite a good book. I'm hooked on it for the first time for a fiction book in a long time. So that's my state of mind, my half-hearted, not really paying attention introduction. Also, just if you are watching this rather than just listening to it while you draw, I twitch a lot and I make noises when I'm not paying attention because I have Tourette's. So I get comments on it all the time when I'm entertaining, and I just wanted to put it right out there at the beginning. I know I twitch a lot. As soon as I stop focusing on talking and I get caught up in music or drawing in this case, or when I play games, I get made fun of a lot because I just twitch a lot. So if I can just put that out in the open now, saves you typing out the comment. I know I twitch. It's not something I can do anything about. I'll try and catch myself if I make any disgusting noises, like clearing my throat, but sometimes I just can't help it, so I apologize in advance. Also, that's why I'm not showing my eyes. It's the same everywhere. I'm not shy about how I look. It's more just if I make eye contact with myself and I see myself twitching, that's quite distracting for me. I'm like a bird looking in a mirror. Who's a pretty bird? Who's a pretty bird? No, it's just the twitching is distracting. I know it is. And if you're trying to do art or homework while watching this and you just see someone twitching, the eyes are quite off-putting. I've often been told that I smile like a serial killer because my eye movements and my mouth movements don't necessarily line up. I don't know how much stock is in that. But a few people have mentioned it. I think it's funny. So yeah, I'm gonna like hide directly behind my pop filter and the border of the the window, so you don't have to get too much of it. So, I suppose the point of me making these videos, like I said, I want to try and have things that I can point at and say, I did this during it, so that if I die, my parents won't realize that I was just telling them I wanted to do art. I can actually say, hey, look, I made something. So this is a way to peer pressure myself into it, a little bit of accountability. haven't made it yet, but I plan to make a Discord server, so if I stream again or upload a new video, I'll put a link in the description for that. And it's just going to be a place to post things. You don't have to post art or music, you just have to say that you did, and you know, it's a checklist essentially. And I think if I can build a community of people who I can look at their art and keep myself accountable by seeing that they're being productive, then that would be a huge help in just actually making things, again, to point at to my parents before I die and say, I wasn't just pretending, I actually do know what I'm doing. Again, partially because I have no ambition, and partially because I'm lazy, and partially because I don't really have an ego about, you know, whether I am an artist or a musician or not. I know I am. I'm not really concerned with all that, but you kind of have to have something to point towards, I suppose, in this life. So, I suppose that leads into it's New Year, at the time that I'm making this, and I hope that I can stick to some of the habits I made in the last year, because I am actually kind of proud for the first time. You know, I've got new medication. It makes my impulses really difficult to ignore, so it kind of counteracts the whole depression thing. And using that, I've been able to build some habits, and my New Year's resolutions are mostly around maintaining those habits. Hopefully, you know, so that if I do get off my medications, I have the willpower to keep doing them. I've broken them down into daily tasks and weekly tasks just because I had some friends who would play MMOs and we would grind dailies and weeklies, and it pissed me off, but I think that's the best way to build a habit. So this is kind of it reminds me of them a fair bit. So every day I want to read, I want to draw something, and I want to play a little bit of music, just practice, not making anything. If it's just learning how to play a chord progression from a song, that counts. If I just play a few scales, that counts. I'm setting the bar really low so that if it comes to like midnight and I'm about to sleep and I haven't done it, I can just quickly tick it off in a few minutes, you know. Play something on the... There's a guitar behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Oh, I don't know. And again, just drawing something every day, whether it's a figure or a face, as high effort or as low effort as I want. It can be thumbnails, it doesn't matter. The point is the minimum viable effort. Something that I can just do in 5 minutes before bed so that I can at least say I did it. And then I've got weekly tasks, which is just I want to practice coding once a week. I'm learning Unity and C++, so that's, I want to do one thing a week, as long it doesn't matter how big or small. I also want to do some 3D modeling in Blender, which, you know, I'm not particularly good at, but I don't particularly care. As long as I do it, I will be pleased. I want to do handwriting practice because I've bought some fancy pens, and you know, I started out with like really cheap calligraphy pens, but now I'm interested in actually learning, and I quite enjoy it. So to justify buying some more expensive fountain pens, I'm gonna attempt to practice handwriting once a week in an effort to improve, not just grinding it so I do it. It needs to be constant, like mindful practice. But you know, if you've learned how to play a few instruments, you learn how to use DAWs and art programs and computers. You know, that's normal. Practice doesn't make perfect, it just cements your habits. So you need to think about improving. With what I'm doing in my sketchbooks right now, I'm not actually doing art, I'm just working on mechanical practice. I want to observe something and make it. So I wouldn't count this as art. It's sketching, but it's more just copying what I see, whereas art, visual art, I believe is about abstracting and interpreting that. I'm not doing any interpreting, I'm just looking at what's in front of me and putting it on a page, because I find it quite meditative. You don't have to think, there's no worrying whether it's good or bad, you put stuff on a page. And you can train your eye's ability to visualize and measure things, which is the main thing I'm worried about. And that's the only thing I'm thinking about, whether I can keep believable how do you call it, measurements, if the proportions are relatively in line with what's in front of me, because I want to develop the observation skills. I don't think I'd be able to make art, proper art, where you interpret what you're seeing and express it in a creative way. I don't think I'm at a point where I'd be able to do that while streaming. This is kind of just what I'm working with right now. Did I finish my list? I got distracted. Weeklies. Oh, exercise. I've actually been pretty good about exercising recently. Ever since I was in high school, which was some time now, I've been bad about it. I just sit inside, but now that I'm on decent meds that give me the impulsiveness to do it, I've been pretty good. That's a very recent thing though, and it's mostly because I moved somewhere where I've got a library near me, and I can go and read books and go and return them. So I do, that's actually a daily thing. I would try and exercise daily, but depending on the weather, and especially now in summer, it's been really hot during the day, and then at night when it cools down, it's been raining, and like, you know, you have to work with what you have, so I'm not strict on that one. I get the exercise in when I can, and hopefully that works out alright. And then I've got monthly. Gosh, I always do this. I always forget one thing. If I don't have it written down in front of me, I forget. And even now I do have it written down in front of me, and I'm still forgetting. So weekly, I want to stream at least once a week, for non-entertaining purposes, just to make content on YouTube or whatever, it doesn't matter. So once a week doing streaming. So that now it's monthly, and for monthly I want to make one video on YouTube. So not a stream, but an actual video where I sit and record something and put it out. It'll probably be the same format as this stream, where it's more just to listen to than necessarily to see, but who knows. If I get good enough at drawing or art, I might be able to turn that into something else. Got a lot of mountains on this one. I'm just gonna approximate it because I can't, like I said, I'm really lazy, so I'm just gonna approximate a lot of this. And then there's a lot of I need to concentrate when I do straight lines. They're not straight. These are horrendously not straight. But, what can you do? Stuff in the background is really dark, so I'll have to make the front stuff darker to compensate. I also have another monthly task, which is to socialize in person. Maybe that sounds sad, but I said at the start that I'm introverted, so, you know, I think I went out in person probably 6 times last year. That's not because of the pandemic, that's just always how I've been. I see my family more often than that, but I do count that as socializing, but for the sake of this, I mean spending time with people who aren't related with me at least once a month. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. So I think that's most of what I wanted to talk about. There isn't really much more about me that I've really found to be relevant. I twitch a lot, I'm antisocial, and I like to imagine that I'm an art student. There we go. So I'll leave the rest of this to be mostly just ASMR, and I'll just talk when things cross my mind. not sure how well that's coming through for you on the audio side, so I'll have to listen in and watch again and tune it later. But the reason I'm actually doing this live is because I thought if, I could spend 100 years tuning all of my audio setup and my gear and just, chasing perfection, but if I just start, I can at least make something, Oh, got some planes. Man, a lot of airplanes today. Must be like, I guess it's holiday season for most of the people who are peasants and working class, so myself included, it is a holiday period, although I'm not constrained. As an entertainer, I can just log on and stream whenever I want, so that's nice. But I am taking a personal break because my family is on break, which means I can spend time with them. And I can focus on this. Sorry. Man, yeah, lovely. This is just coming out as like blobs of graphite, but what can you do? Does it look like mountains to you? Not really. Yeah. I need to connect these up a bit more. Make more individual hills. And they should be on certain sides of the mountain, which I think I neglected. I blobbed in the mid-tone shapes without any appreciation of where the actual shadows were falling. And now that I'm actually doing the shadows afterwards, it's a bit rough. But, that's what this is. It's all just practice. That's why we do thumbnails. If I was actually painting this, I would probably be a bit more upset, but it is what it is. Oh, that's an interesting one. It's got a very nice breakdown of... It's not just all blobs of mid-tone, there's a lot of darker tones in there too. It's interesting. A little bit of perspective too. I need the practice, so it works out for me. Let's call that the midline. And there's like reflections. Oh man, this is a good image. I'm very proud to be able to fuck it up with my amateur technique. Then we've got something coming up there. And then a second hill line in the back. And then mountains with little bits. So, oh my god, and there's clouds and everything. Wow. I'll try to do those. Oh, what a disaster. There's a little building in here. And the little mode part of the mountain, but the rest I can just... Oh, I suppose I should reflect it in the water, hey? Leave a thin line for the beach. And then, oh shit, the reflections. Alright, let's do the rest in with 6B, and then I can worry about the reflections after that. There's a big tree there, so I'll mark you in particular. And then it's just... And then this mountain has a little bendy bit. Oh, that's a loud truck. Fancy that. Just colouring in the edges of my paper book. That's funny. And then just mirror that in the water. But leave a room. Oh, that was the wrong way. Don't understand how mirrors work. Much like real life. What else have we got? We got a little mountain in the back there. That's fine. Got a little mountain in the back there. A little bit there. But then we can do more mid-tony stuff. These ones are more in the foreground. And then this one is a very dark ridge. And then a second darker ridge. In between is like buildings. That's fine. Oh dear. Dearie me. Alright, let's do these ones. Got a shape there, got a shape there, and a shape along there. And then it crosses over, and then I'll do a little bit in the reflection. And then there's also a little bit of the hint of the shape behind. And then it crosses. And then we can go into detail with the reflections of the mountain. That should be fine. Oh, dearie me. And what have we got here? We mostly have a thick shape underneath. And just indicate some texture on the top. There we go. Beauty. Oh, that is a horrendous thumbnail, but which thumbnails aren't, you know? Sorry. I'll try to avoid that, but I know some people probably find it satisfying. I love listening to it, so not that sorry. Maybe I should warn. I'll try to keep that in mind. Do a warning if I'm gonna be cracking joints. Alright, maybe we do a little watercolor study next. I'm just gonna throw these, sorry, it might get loud. I need to pin these. dropped you. I need to work out a way to actually secure this camera so that it doesn't just fly when I bump you. Sorry, chat. Sorry. I'll be more gentle next time. Alright. Hopefully that holds. So I won't lie, I don't really understand how to use these. That's a difficult. I want to try and get an easy reference. There we go. So this is mostly greens, yellows, and then a little orange building. There's a lot of white. I'm using watercolor pencils. Kaiser Craft watercolor. Oh, Kaiser color. So I'll show you on here. This is the tin, covering the important part. I don't know if they're cheap or not, or anything about them, but you know, it is what it is. With our HB, let's just do. There we go. Why not? And I'll try and do this in yellow. I'll start with the highlight color, if I can get them out of the tin. It's white up the top, and then this is where the tree line is. Maybe I use black just to sketch things out at the beginning. We got a tree line. This little house. Random little blob there. And the trees continue this way. And then in the foreground there's just a little blip that goes quite wide. Then there's one of those. And then that widens out. This is mostly blue and green. And little patches of green in the blue. And up the top there are just tree patches like that and like that. Alright, so let's just do highlight for this entire area. This paper is incredibly textured, so it's probably, and it's quite cheap. This is just paper that I'm using for practice. It's watercolor paper, but it does still buckle, and it's, you know, it is what it is. I can use it. I'm not afraid to mess it up. I've got cheap materials, so I'm fine with it. This is also relatively yellow, so I'll do a little bit on the side of that building, and then we'll go in with green and maybe a dark blue. Green, although the blue is mostly just for shadows, so I'm just gonna I'm not quite sure what my intention with this is. Just doing V shapes, inverted trees. I'm gonna fill most of this space with it, I think. And I'm not really too concerned with the line work. I'm just And see, it does seem to follow shapes, so maybe if I just do ridges, who knows? This is just an experiment, so I'm not concerned with it looking bad, because I'm not very experienced with this. Another aeroplane, dude. They are sending them today. I'll probably do most of these streams at nighttime in the future, just because I have roommates who are noisy. My brother lives with me, or I live with him. It's probably more accurate to say, but yeah, it's what it is. And I'll do some dark blue in the very bottom of areas. Just really as shadows. I don't really know how that's going to work out, but whatever. A little more green in the water in the front. Maybe just throwing this in with a big wall of colour. I don't know if you should start dark and go light, or go light and start dark with stuff like this, but who knows? We'll find out. Screw it. Alright. Do I have a brush? I'll just use... Oh, that's a tiny brush. Don't want that. Bigger brush. Bigger. You a bigger brush. Yeah. You just put water on the paint and it dissolves. So that was possibly too much yellow. But you know, such is the way. And I did relatively start quite light, so I can go over it. Let's go a little darker. I'll grab dark blue and my green. And just take paint straight off the pencils. Go in. washes. You can lift it off if you put too much. That's the nice thing about these pencils, they're very forgiving. Do I have a paper towel? I do. I came prepared, so I'm just going to wipe these pencils off. There we go. So let's... try and lift the color off of the roof here. Just make that as light as possible. And then maybe go in with more orange underneath. And some blue for the shadow area. Sure, why not? Just add some little bits around. You know, it looks horrendous, but that's fine. I'm not in this for... It's just practice. If I do one of these every day, I'm sure in a year's time there'll be something to look at. And until then, I am content with, you know, whatever this is. I'm actually just going and draw the yellow straight on. It's horrendous. It is, but such is art. This is all just practice. Alright, I'm going to do water at the bottom. Start from the right, so it's mostly blue. Oh, there's still yellow on my brush. Love it. Gonna try and pull some out in the middle. Oh, more yellow on the brush. Funny how that works out, doesn't it? It's not quite muddy enough, so maybe I'll add some green. Bit more. And some up there as well. find a little bit of a darker patch in that one little spot. Maybe if I mix blue and green together, it'll neutralize. Sure, why not? Yeah. Just to mess it up, let's add more of the orange and just see if I can neutralize this section here. Yeah, sure, why not? It's fine. Blue. Let's just paint it on. Why not? Just little spots. You can do details. Blue and green. If I just wet this whole section. I can probably just draw little patches and details in. And it is a disturbing piece that I am left with, but you know, what can you do? Oh, there's too much. There's a point when you should stop, and I'm well beyond that point, but you know. Alright, I might stop there for now. I sat down, I did the thing I wanted to do, and I'm going to continue making garbage content like this until either I get bored and stop, or who knows. So doing some ASMR for you. I'll just one sec. So these were the thumbnails we did today, which are pretty much indecipherable, but you know, it is what it is. And this top one was our little painting today. You can see one down the bottom that I did before, and you know, it is garbage. It's child's play. Yes. Knocked you over. Sorry, chat. There's one I did before. And as you can see, I absolutely suck. So, hopefully, if I keep this up with my New Year's resolution, we'll see how we go. Alright, good evening all, and have a nice night.